Jeff Martin here with another episode of Jeff's Journey. A couple of things interesting over the last day. I had severe right kidney pain all day yesterday. It was after I drank this huge glass of kefir, my raw goat's milk kefir, which is fermented milk. And I make my own. I make a lot now. I have a lot of kefir grains, which are a mix of yeast and bacteria. And so I didn't filter it as much as I normally do, so more of the bacteria and yeast stayed in there. And I believe that's causing some sort of die-off of some other sort of yeast and bacteria that's in my system that I probably shouldn't have in my system, isn't ideal in my system. So that's very interesting, and I'm going to push that more. And I mean, it was pretty intense kidney pain right in my side. It was not fun. And all day after I drank it. It was like, I mean, like 12 hours or something, and I went to bed with kidney pain still. I woke up this morning and I don't really feel it. The spot kind of feels weird, but it's not painful. And I feel quite good today, which is interesting. Also, yesterday I met up with a friend of mine, Casey, and his friend Jordan. We talked about economics and politics and stuff for like 5 hours, which was interesting, especially being in pain. I'm going to be a private reading tour, local reading tour, just for one tutor, just for one student, which is cool because I've been thinking about doing something like that anyway. So this will be a really cool experiment to step in that direction. Cool to check out. Also, I've been in contact over the last couple of days with the Michigan Education Corps, and they have a reading interventionist position. Last year I looked into it, but my health wasn't good enough to be traveling anywhere for working. And now it is. I think I could probably travel for work on a daily basis. Last year was called literacy tutor. This year is called a reading interventionist. Nevertheless, it's K through third grade or pre-K through third grade. You go in and you do sessions with small groups of students or one-on-one for reading intervention. So looks interesting. You know, reading's by far one of the things I'm most passionate about. Maybe the thing I'm most passionate about. So I'd like to do something like that. And I still haven't been arranged with a student for Read Muskegon, which is an adult reading program, but I'm sure I will be. And I haven't heard anything on substituting at the prison or the jail through their programs yet, but I'm guessing I will. That stuff just seems to be coming slowly. Also, with two things I've been thinking about, I've been trying to get my mentality underway because I'm very hesitant on stuff now. I was never not hesitant in my life to a large extent, but I was always able to find a way to overcome some of my hesitancy and then do a bunch of interesting stuff. And I still do a bunch of interesting stuff almost continually because otherwise I find life extremely boring. So I have to be doing something interesting. And I mean, if I can go out and do stuff, then I do it that way. Like, I went to the circus recently, going on the riverboat this Sunday, going to the Polish festival soon. There's a Greek Orthodox church that's having a bake sale thing, even though I can't buy anything there. I'm going to go to there just because I find walking through the Greek Orthodox church, which I've never been in before, interesting, and a bunch of other stuff. And when I can't do that, I'm exploring stories, mostly books. And then over the last couple of years, well, I've been sick. I've watched more television than I ever have in the rest of my life and really got into different television shows, which has been interesting. They're an interesting way to explore stories. Significantly more passive than reading. Reading is a much more active thing, and then audiobooks are somewhere in between. So I think it's interesting to see that gradation. Nevertheless, I was thinking about what I should do, and I have a whole list, and I don't have them right next to me to show you an example, but I have big sheets of paper of stuff that I like should be doing, and there's certain things I have to do, but then there's certain things I should be doing, especially if I want to advance certain opportunities and whatnot. And I've been having a hard time resolving some of those and that type of thing. And I realized that just the keyword should indicates a internal conflict, right? An internal conflict that is not currently resolved, because if I say like mow the lawn, right? I just mowed the lawn. So if I say I should mow the lawn, then what it indicates is that for these reasons, it would be beneficial for me to mow the lawn. I want to mow the lawn for these reasons. But I want to mow the lawn because it needs to be mowed, and the more I put it off, the bigger it gets, and the worse it actually gets mowed when I go around. So then you almost have to go around 2 times with bigger pain, and mom complains about the lawn not being mowed a lot, which is kind of annoying, so it'd be beneficial for me to mow the lawn. But on the other hand, I don't want to mow the lawn because I feel like it's a complete waste of time. I really don't care about the lawn at all, and I feel like I would have been better off, or could be better off finish reading the story. I have like 50 pages to go in this short story, The Lightning Tree, which is a short story based on the Kingkiller Chronicle by Patrick Rothfuss. And so you're balancing those two things, and what you end up with is like this internal tension and inaction, right? No matter what you do is kind of wrong, partially wrong, and it causes a lot of hesitancy no matter what you're doing, and a lot of distress in all of those things as well. It's very interesting because Napoleon Bonaparte talked about how he considered his reason for success because he never hesitated, right? He's always, like, when a decision was to be made, he was able to make a decision. He didn't have any internal conflicts like a normal person does, essentially, is what he was saying. And it worked out very well for him overall. I mean, you can say he lost in the end, but it's rare that someone does that much in a single lifetime anyways. So you could probably take thousands or maybe millions of people and add up their life success, depending on how you measure it, socially, and it would not add up to one Napoleon Bonaparte. So interesting. So I'm playing with that idea, and it would apply to shoulds and shouldn'ts. Those are just, you can use sentence stems, which was pretty much pioneered by Nathaniel Branden, originally one of the followers of Ayn Rand, and broke off as a whole thing. But he was a psychologist, really, and he was big into sentence stems. He kind of came up with that, I do believe, to a large extent, at least in the use of therapy and psychology. So I should blank. And a lot of times the stems are longer, but that's a nice short one. I shouldn't blank. And then you could use past, present, future tense. Those would have different results. It's interesting. I've been playing with it. And this has been emphasized by different people too. The psychologist Albert Ellis emphasized it with rational emotive behavior therapy, and Alfred Korzybski emphasized it with general semantics. So interesting stuff. Also, as I was driving to the chiropractic appointment today, I realized that I can't not have something like physically exciting on the list of things I'm working on. I just do not emotionally cope correctly with life unless I have some sort of physical adventure that I'm planning. So I have to get one underway. I've been thinking about maybe alligator wrestling, getting that in the books, and I've been always trying to do interesting stuff. I mean, just recently I got something off the list of something I always wanted to do, which was see Jerry Seinfeld live, and that was really cool. Mom and I went to that, and I have other stuff that aren't physically demanding, like a hot air balloon ride, a helicopter ride. I've never been in either of those, which is kind of crazy. I think at some point I would have ended up in a hot air balloon or helicopter, but I haven't. So which is good, because it's good to have stuff still to come on the list. And those aren't physically demanding, so I can do those. But for some reason, it's not the same type of joy, excitement, thrill, rush that doing something physically adventurous is. Now, I can't do an extended physical adventure thing because it's going to grind on me. It's going to throw my spine off, even though that seems to be getting more and more stable, so I'm more and more capable of doing things. But doing something long-term, like a long-distance run or a long-distance hike or a long-distance mountain climbing thing or something like that, would probably not work out. Doing horseback riding is probably too impactful. So there's certain things that I'm going to be quite limited on. Even long-term car travel I might be quite limited on. We'll see. I mean, the trip to Nebraska a handful of months ago or whatever it was went decently well at the beginning of summer, so which was a cool experiment, but I was really feeling that by the time I got back, and it took me a little while to recover. Probably took me 2 weeks to recover from that with consistent adjustments twice a week. So different things I have to play with, but I was thinking something like alligator wrestling, so I have to go to it, which is an issue because it's going to be down in Louisiana or Florida or something like that. But if you take a train, it could really minimize impact, much smoother ride than in a car or a bus or something like that, and then do the thing, probably jack up my spine to some extent or quite a bit, but then come back within a few days of having the experience, the adventure, the issues. Then I'm getting adjusted again. It takes me a week, hopefully not 2 weeks, maybe a week to get back up to par essentially, and maybe some sort of short-term physical dangerous adventure I could do like that. We'll see. It'll be interesting, but I'm going to start working on planning one. Then I'll also have all the issues with finances and stuff like that. So logistics are, always interesting. And these are relatively low level, but nevertheless. And the thing is, like Robert Louis Stevenson, who wrote Treasure Island, Jekyll and Hyde and stuff, he was extremely sickly his entire life. He still did a bunch of interesting stuff, did a lot of travel, wrote amazing novels, obviously. Theodore Roosevelt was extremely sickly and unhealthy and did a lot of interesting stuff, actually. A number of presidents were. FDR obviously was. Theodore Roosevelt was, which is very surprising because of all this physical stuff he ended up doing. He even gave a speech one time, a presidential speech, after he had been shot. Got shot, kept giving the speech. Crazy stuff, and did all the big game hunting and stuff. His eyesight was so bad that when he was young, I think in his preteen somewhere, maybe a little bit younger, he was out hunting with an older brother or his dad, something like that, and they were trying to get him to shoot this deer, and he just couldn't see the deer. And then they realized that he couldn't see, which is kind of hilarious. Which is kind of like my dad, my mom. My sister was over this morning with Evelyn and Judah, and they were talking about that with Dad, and that when he was really young, my grandmother, they'd taken him to the eye doctor to get glasses. He was in like the 2nd grade, and they were walking outside or driving home from the eye doctor place, and he was looking on the side of the road, and he was like, "The trees have leaves." It's crazy. So it's very surprising how much kids can't see sometimes, but you wouldn't know it because the kid doesn't know what to compare it to, which is funny. Anyways, these guys did some crazy adventures, even though, and JFK had a lot of major health issues too. But Theodore Roosevelt, I really like his personality, and Robert Louis Stevenson, I really like their personality, and they overcame a lot of health issues. So that's good or inspiring to at least to a certain extent. And I used to, my philosophy before late 2015, before I went to Africa, was kind of like, I know I'm putting myself in physical danger, but I like it. If something bad happens, but like, so be it. And so I had different ways of getting around that psychologically and kind of coping with the risk. And now it's been harder to justify anything like that. And to a large extent, I just haven't been capable of doing a lot of that stuff up until now. But I'm becoming more capable, much more capable as time progresses here. So I have to get something on the list, and we'll see exactly what it is. I have a lot of stuff. I'd really like to go on like a fan boat in the swamp too, which isn't necessarily super thrilling, but it seems like it'd be a lot of fun to go on a fan boat, and I've never been on one. It could work out with alligator wrestling. So we'll see. Or maybe alligator hunting, or I would like to do boar hunting at some point, but like the intense boar hunting, and then you're like running down a boar with a knife or a spear, and I don't know if the running might be too impactful. So anyways, I'm thinking about it. That's the point. Until next time, this is Jeff signing off.